Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of The Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show, Cross-Talk. Well, there's been a meltdown on the internet in which the Young Turks, led by its boss, Cenk Uygur, and Anna Kasparian, have been involved in a horrific shouting match, first against Aaron Maté, and then with Jimmy Dore. Both Maté and Dore had worked once at the Young Turk. They've accused Maté of essentially being in the pay of the Russians
and Assad.
And Assad, yes. They've also been accused Jimmy Dore. What is his failing? I mean, what's his...
The interesting thing is that it was a few days ago where Anna Kasparian and Cenk, it looked like they were winding up a podcast, and Aaron Maté's name was mentioned, and she had a meltdown, and it was really embarrassing to watch.
Embarrassing, yeah.
And she was throwing him the finger. Who cares about Aaron Maté? F him, and then Cenk. Right, and then Cenk, well, Aaron, I hope he's warm in his nice Russian blanket and all this. It was really ad hominem. It was completely disgusting. They didn't give any reasons why. Because Aaron Maté visited Syria recently and did real journalism and talked about what's going on the ground. And then Jimmy deconstructed a number of Young Turks videos about their coverage, very distorted coverage of what's going on in Syria, and just demolished it. And it's quite obvious that Cenk, and particularly Anna, just has no idea what's going on. They have no idea that the United States is sanctioning Syria, not allowing a reconstruction to occur. She just doesn't have any, and there's no facts there. And the interesting thing is, the reason why I wanted to do this is we kind of see this arc of what's happened to it, where there are people like the Young Turks that want to be an alternative. They took on the mantle of being progressive, even though Cenk is a former Republican. Why Anna Kasparian of Armenian descent would want to join a group called the Young Turks that committed the genocide against Armenia during and right after, during the First World War. I've never understood that. Maybe she has her reasons. And I think it is worth asking. I'm sorry.
That's right, but it's kind of interesting because the Young Turk kind of emerged. They were the alternative media, an alternative voice. They were progressive. They weren't going to go with the flow, mainstream democratic politics. They wanted the radical alternative. But essentially, they right from the beginning, they hung out their shingle. Hey, please, come and give us money. And they've received a lot of money from powerful Democrat voices, such as Jeffrey Katzenberg, and they got something in the nature of $25 million. Now, that is an awful lot of money for a media outlet. I mean, you can do an awful lot with 25 million, and of course, they still claim to be progressive, but they spout forth Democratic Party talking points, which is what they were supposed to do. But, if you were just going to be a mainstream Democrat, fine, be a mainstream Democrat. But their deceit comes from they said, whoa, we're with Bernie, we're Bernie Sanders, we're the progressive, even as they spout this nonsense. They were Russiagaters from the beginning. They
still are.
Yeah, still are. Syria, they repeat this all of the lies about the chemical weapons and everything else about Assad, justifying essentially the war.
Julian Assange.
Again, constant attacks against Julian Assange. That's the thing. Again, what Jimmy Dore pointed out. You attack Julian Assange for selling out. The guy's being tortured. He's been essentially imprisoned for 10 years. He's now had 2 years of psychological or physical torture. You sit there, in all this fat with all this money pouring into your pockets, and you dare to say that Julian Assange sold out, which of course is in itself is a ridiculous statement, because the idea that somehow Assange is pro-Trump is just
well, there's no evidence.
None.
No evidence.
Hillary, just because he said the exposure of those emails was unflattering to Hillary, that doesn't mean that he's pro-Trump. But that's what it is. But
well, I mean, did Julian Assange tell John Podesta what password he should have for his Gmail? Right. I don't think so. I mean, the reason why I wanted to do this, because I think it's very interesting, is that you have a group of people started with Cenk Uygur, okay, and other people that we know that were in his orbit at one time, and he starts this progressive news outlet, okay, that would be obviously, I mean, criticizing the right is not really their concern, because they're basically juxtaposing themselves from mainstream neoliberals in the Democratic Party. But what happened was, I guess it was all a marketing fraud, right? Because they're really neocons, and they want to put on the veneer of being progressive. Right. And it's really insidious what they're doing, okay? Because they take the same neocon talking points and say this is progressivism. It's not. And George and I couldn't agree with progressives on many issues, and we will strongly disagree on other issues, okay? But Jimmy Dore, do you agree with him or not, and I have an enormous amount of admiration for him, is that, he is a good faith actor, okay? The Young Turks are not good faith actors, and they've proven it. And particularly, if you want to have a juxtaposition, Jimmy Dore, at the end of his videos, I won't use his language because we try to avoid it here on our podcast, but he basically says, nobody has any money, I can't go on the road, so just enjoy the video, okay? But all through the pandemic, here's the people that got over 20 million, up to $25 million, and they're still asking for money, okay? And where does that money go? I mean, I don't know if they have much of an accounting of where their donor money goes, but the going after Jimmy, force the vote. When I'm talking about forcing, just showing hands, okay, who supports universal health care? Okay, they can't even show hands. That is sacrilege. It's not time. It's never time, because when you have power, you want to have the status quo continue forever here. So, and I watch this going on here, and people are saying, "Oh, the progressive camp is in turmoil." No, they're not, because the Young Turks are not progressive. They are the worst kind of neocons.
That's right. That's right. Well, I think that's it. I mean, that's how you do propaganda. Propaganda, you've got to be very skilled at it, which is, you fool people into thinking that you are one sort of person, whereas in fact you are quite the opposite. So the trick of the Young Turks is to make people think, hey, well, we're the progressive, we're the progressive alternative to the Democratic Party establishment. We're with Bernie. Right on with Bernie. But of course, the goods that you're selling are the exact opposite of that. You are selling war. And it's a little trick that was mastered by Rachel Maddow. Maddow also started as a progressive. She was on Air America. Then she was an MSNBC. She was always the voice of the left. Then she got her own show, and lo and behold, as the millions are pouring in, there she is, the leader of the Russiagate hoax brigade.
And Nicole Wallace. Nicole Wallace also did it in a different way.
That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, it's basically, she was a neocon. She flacked for all these wars, and now they bring it into the heart of the Democratic Party, okay? This is another result of Trump derangement syndrome, is that neocon ideology has control of both parties right now. And the Young Turks played an instrumental role in doing it. They were the gateway. And so the Democratic Party wasn't going to be outdone. They brought in their own, okay?
Yeah. No, that's right. And of course, AOC is the doyen of all these people. Again, she's a progressive. I'm on the left. I'm championing progressive causes. And then when someone is asked, okay, so are you going to oppose the Caesar Act, the sanctions against Syria? Are you going to oppose the sanctions against Venezuela? Are you going to oppose the whole sort of warlike pose towards Russia. She's nowhere to be found. Oh, but I'm there. I'm a progressive. I'm with Bernie.
No, they're not progressives. It is a grift. It is, they put on the veneer of this. And you know what they do is, and you and I stay away from it, I very much stay away from it, is that all of these artificial food fights on Twitter, because they're not really talking, they're actually really agreeing on all these things here.
Right.
And it's just who gets the attention, who's the blue check and all that. It's such a fraud, okay? Because at the end of the day, all across the spectrum, you have a pro-war perspective, okay? And then they all squabble about it. No, I'm sorry. Jimmy Dore genuinely is an anti-war person, okay?
Right.
And I give, again, there's many issues I would disagree with him on, but there are many that I would. And that's why I always reach out to progressives like Jimmy Dore and not to frauds like Cenk.
Like, or AOC. I mean, AOC.
She's just a media event. That's all she is.
Yeah, but she sold herself. She was, she displaced this big shot Democrat congressman, and that catapulted her to power, and she was going to be the progressive voice. And the moment she got to Washington, she was ready to sell out. Again, she hung out her shingle. So when you see her, boy, does she look, well dressed. All her clothes and everything, that looks like expensive clothes that she buys. I mean, she's very, very, but she doesn't have her mother no money for her. What's that word for her granny? I can't remember. There's a word, for her granny. None for that. But boy, does she have money for nice expensive clothes? So
did you hear what happened? Did you hear what happened? Some conservative, when she tweeted out that, she blamed Trump because her grandmother doesn't have any income or sustenance and all that. There was some conservatives that came out and started raising money for her. And they were getting, and she went ballistic. No, I don't want that.
That's right. Yeah. So the money has.
So, AOC uses her grandmother as a prop.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. She's making a ton of money, but not a penny for granny.
I think she is the single most successful fundraiser in Congress right now. I mean, Nancy can bundle, but I think as a single person raising money, I think it's Sandy Cortez.
Right.
The whole point, guys, is that, and this may really surprise a lot of you, we need a healthy, okay, let me say it differently. I used to watch the Young Turks. Not because I particularly liked it, but there were some interesting perspectives that I hadn't come across, okay? And I was really quite intrigued. Sometimes they would have some very interesting guests. And then sometimes they'd have these complete losers that, the funky academic that used to show up on the Hill, which I never understood what it was talking. It sounded cool, but it didn't make any sense to me. But I'm being fair here because I thought they were engaging. They were more policy wonks than anyone in the Democratic Party. But when Hillary poisoned the entire Democratic Party and you had to make choices, and then Trump derangement syndrome, and it was all downhill from there, okay? Because I have to be against what he's for. I mean, that is a toxic approach, and that's what they have done.
Well, I think that's, but I think there's a lot of money there. I mean, there was money.
No, it's and it's a money maker. Yeah,
people gave money. I mean, Jeffrey Katzenberg and others. They didn't give him money just because they liked his pretty face. I mean, they gave him money. They wanted something from him, and he was ready to deliver. They wanted essentially the Democratic Party messaging with a progressive veneer. We don't want just mainstream hacks that they come on Fox News, and also pick up a check like Jessica Tarloff. No, we want somebody pretending to be progressive. We want a progressive veneer. We want a Bernie Sanders supporter giving us the mainstream Democratic line. And that's it. He was ready to take this money and ready to do the bidding of wealthy people. Many people, this is a very common thing among humanity. A lot of people are ready to sell out for
well, there was a great philosopher. I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, his name was Bob Dylan. Okay, and that great philosopher, he said, "Money doesn't talk; it screams.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. All right,
No,
Peter.
I mean, this is what has happened here. You have grifters that are essentially destroying a part of the political spectrum that before they poisoned it actually had some validity, and there are real progressives out there. George and I are conservatives, but we reach out to talk to progressives because we want to have a debate, not with these zombies in the Democratic Party and the neocons and the libertarians in the Republican Party. We have nothing to do with those people.
All right. Okay. All right. So where can we find this?
We're currently now on Locals, so please go into thegaggle.locals.com. There is a tip jar, which is the namesake for Buddy, and we need it filled up completely because he's a hungry little dog and he eats often.
That's it. We're also on Rumble. Look us up there. And if you like The Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.